We always tend to go backwards. Now the trend is a lot into warmth and coziness, having this bit of 70s retro vibe.
What do you think about hexagon tiles?
I'm happy to say I've never used them and I don't think I ever will.
So out.
Out for now, unless I see like maybe an artisanal, handmade, nice like hexagon tile. But the one I'm picturing in my head is definitely out.
It's out, okay.
Yeah.
If you watched our renovation show, you would know today's guest very well. Her name is Serena and she's one of the creative forces behind Flipping Dubai's success. Welcome, Serena. Welcome back to Flipping Dubai. Today we are here with Serena. You may know her very well from our show. She's part of our Flipping Dubai show team, and she's a very established designer here in Dubai. Welcome, Serena.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's very nice to have you here, and today we're going to speak with you about design. Design trends for 2026 now, and design for flipping, because this is our main topic. So first of all, introduce yourself for the audience.
So you might have seen me in the previous episodes, like you've mentioned. I'm an interior designer specialized in residential projects here in the UAE. So I was born and raised here, so I'm very used to, you know, the development, the evolution of everything, exactly. And I'm really loving what I'm doing.
Being born and raised here, what's your main take on the residential scene and on the design scene?
It's boomed in such a way, you know, that back then we would have never expected it to be this way. It's changed a lot, and it's always been a city that has, you know, all different kinds of nationalities. But with this new real estate boom and everything, you just feel it much more, you know, like traffic-wise is just the easiest way to show it. So there's a lot of demand in real estate, and so a lot of chances and opportunities. And it's also a chance to put yourself out there and like have something a bit different. Because now there is so much demand, there's a lot, you know, you see some photos, for example, everything looks the same. Yes. You feel like you're looking at the same apartment over 20, 30 times.
Exactly. I think in the catalog, in the brochure of the real estate agency, now it's like you cannot really tell who's the developer, right? It's very, very similar. And exactly. I think this has become what I call Dubai style. Now there is a Dubai style for interiors, right?
Exactly. And I think also the developers might always keep in mind that if someone is buying, they would want, you know, to renovate it in their way. There are some developers who really put in an effort, and you see they want to develop like these luxurious identities. But some of them, it's like, okay, we'll give room for the buyer, you know, to renovate their houses. Because mainly all of them would want to do that. If I'm buying a house, I would want it to reflect my personality.
Yeah, that's correct. And also it's also like it's a flipping, right? So they have to cater to most buyers as possible. So they cannot overdo sway too much in one sense or the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah? In terms of flipping, so I think we had this conversation many times because of course you're helping us with the design of the flip. But I think for the audience it's going to be interesting to know the approach when we are renovating and flipping a house for a ex-buyer. We never know the buyer. We can know a little bit the demographic, but what are the things to keep in mind when you design for a flip?
So definitely, like you said, we don't know who the buyer is. But in part of the research and study that we do, we know, for example, if this flip is going to be in this specific location, that usually, you know, the neighboring villas or apartment, like what kind of identity of that person has there. Is it just an area where people will mainly have short-term rentals? Is it a family-oriented area, or is it like a bachelor's area? Different kinds of nationalities. So from there, it can help us at least to narrow down slightly a bit in the style and the layout that we want to do. So I would say this is one of the things.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, obviously we cannot show a lot of character, because the more we refine and have character in a flip, the more you are narrowing down and filtering the chance of someone that will buy it.
Yeah.
So it's also to put it in like a sort of blank canvas, but try to make it a little bit different than the ones we are seeing now currently.
How do you make it different? Like, where do you focus on? Is it like the kitchen, the toilets, or is more like the staging and the works of art? I don't know.
I would say it's more in the actual structure and backbone, I'm gonna call it, of the space. So like the kitchen and the bathrooms, not to go crazy and all out, I mean, but maybe to do the detailing a bit different, to try to see how that person would want to live their life to the max. Like in a kitchen, the layout, how it would be, to optimize as much as possible. In the staging, I would say it's also important to have, you know, maybe then we can go in the change of character with the artworks and the decorative items, because this is something that's easy for the buyer to replace or sell or remove if this is not something that they wanted.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of style, so we said that there is a Dubai style that is very common now. That is mainly, I will say, like use some marble or marble looking materials,
yes,
some soft materials for the staging. But what do you think it's the trend for 2026 in general, like internationally? How should we tweak this standard style, let's say?
So the trend now is we always tend to go backwards. Now the trend is a lot into warmth and coziness and having this bit of 70s retro vibe. And then when I mean this, it doesn't have to be like the super vibrant colors, but a lot of wood, mixing the woods, something that's warm, something, you know, that screams relaxation, because after COVID, when life came back to normal and people were so busy, you realize you're so tired.
Yeah,
so now when you go to a space that's just maybe purely beige or minimal, it's not enough anymore. We're going really into those like soft chocolate browns, caramel hues, a lot of different woods. So this is more or less the trend that is coming in at the moment. We still do have the marbles, but I would say it's shifting away from the typical, you know, Carrara or gray, Armani gray kind of marble. It's more into red marbles, Rosso Levanto, greens, more unique and warm as well. At some point, I don't know if you remember, we were sick of this brown marble. You'd see it everywhere. Yes. You're like, I can't see this marble anymore. Now it's coming back.
Yeah, as you say, it keeps repeating, but with a tweak, right?
Exactly.
Historically. I think now we're a little bit sick of this beige.
Yes.
Like we had all this beige for a long time, so now we need a little bit of pop of colors and materials, right?
And I think we miss in general the amount of detailing, you know, that they used to do in architecture previously. I'm not talking to the extent of the classical style, but we miss this level of detail, you know, the joints, the lines. It's nice to see it come back.
Like the craftsmanship.
Yes,
a little bit.
Exactly.
Which I think it's also what distinguishes like luxury interior from normal interior, let's say.
Exactly. So for example, if you take a kitchen, before it was only about the minimal lines. I'm not saying that we don't have that anymore. We always need this kind of minimalism, but having those details like on a countertop, having a bullnose edge that's curved instead of straight and linear, everything that's organic and soft, like these kinds of details. And like you said, it is part of the craftsmanship.
What's really out now in terms of trends? So someone who wants to renovate their house or renovate for a flip, what is like a no?
For me, what's really out at the first glance, but of course, depending on the specific project, I could use it. But I would say it's like the gray and cold colors, because we're talking so much about warmth and calmness and wanting to feel calm in the space. So I would say like the grayish kind of tones are out. The too minimal, too square, too rectangle.
It's not appealing anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think also it's because we saw it too much, and again you go back, you enter, like whose house is, you know, it's just like it's like a set.
Yeah, exactly.
A production set.
What do you think about hexagon tiles?
I'm happy to say I've never used them, and I don't think I ever will.
So out.
Out for now, unless I see like maybe an artisanal, handmade, nice like hexagon tile. But the one I'm picturing in my head is definitely out.
It's out, okay.
Yeah.
To conclude our design talk, I would like to hear from you a 1-minute tip for people that want to decorate their house. What should they focus on, and or like which type of like accessories and furniture should they focus on for 2026?
Just to let their character speak out. And so for someone, when a guest enters the home, they know whose home they're entering in. You feel the personality. There was a phase, you know, where we used to buy the accessories and you want them to match exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, you should let that story speak. If you traveled somewhere and you found a piece, you want to bring it, this is how, you know, you should furnish your home. Meaningful pieces that actually speak to you, and through that, I feel like the space will be beautiful because it reflects the person. And obviously, you know, not having all the colors in the world, maybe.
A little bit of taste.
Yeah, a little bit, you know.
It's always required.
And then you still have that sort of symmetry in the accessories, not, for example, putting 100 items on a console. We still have, you know, those baselines, but not to be afraid to show the character of the person in their home.
Okay, nice. I think it is a very valuable tip. So do not stick too much to the Pinterest board, but add a little bit of your personality.
Exactly.
Thank you, Serena, for being with us.
Thank you.
It was a very nice conversation, and we hope to see more of your designs coming up in Flipping Dubai.
Definitely.
And bye, everyone. See you soon in the next episode.